from the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel with Clark Kellogg. We're here with the 2K Sports NCAA Selection Show. We're all set to show you the seedings and pairings, so get out your bracket sheet, get those pencils ready. Here are the basics. Of the 65 available tournament bids, 31 are automatically given to conference champions. The tournament committee hands out the remaining 34 bids on an at-large basis. An opening round game will take place on Tuesday night to narrow the field to 64 teams. But before we unveil the brackets for this season, here's a look at the final top 25 media poll of the season. There are a couple of major changes in the rankings as March Madness approaches. The Kentucky Wildcats jumped all the way from the number 13 spot to number 8.
They're peaking at just the right time, Greg. This is exactly the way you want to be playing going into the tournament.
Also, a new team has made the leap into the top 25. The Davidson Wildcats break into the poll as the number 22 team. Now let's take a look at the NCAA Tournament bubble and see which teams are sitting at home with their fingers crossed, hoping to see their name in the brackets. There are a lot of worthy candidates among these 10 teams, Clark. Which of these bubble teams stands out to you right now?
Cal impressed me this year, but there were occasions when they seemed to lose focus for a game or two at a time. And those setbacks could be what keeps them out of the tournament.
And we have a few more teams in similar position, right, Clark?
Auburn should be considered among the best of the major conference teams not holding an automatic bid. But there are plenty of non-power conference teams knocking on the door that may prevent them from getting an invitation.
I'm sure it's been a long week for those teams, but the wait's almost over. The NCAA Selection Committee has finished its meeting, and we're ready to unveil the top 4 seeds in this year's tournament. The Memphis Tigers are the top overall seed, and they will play in the East Regional. They begin the tournament as the dominant team in college basketball. They've been ranked number 1 in the media poll for the past 12 weeks. Let's see if they can live up to everyone's expectations. On to the second number 1 seed, who will play in the South Regional. The North Carolina Tar Heels are seeking their 5th NCAA championship in school history. The Georgetown Hoyas are our 3rd number 1 seed, and they'll play in the Midwest Regional. They're back in the tournament again, and no doubt they'll be feeding off the experience of last year's appearance as they try to get to the Final Four this year. And finally, our 4th number 1 seed will play in the West Regional. The Arkansas Razorbacks are in the tournament field as a number 1 seed for the 2nd time in the history of their program. Now, here's how the brackets shape up based on where the number 1 seeds have been assigned. In one national semifinal game, the winner of the East Regional will play the winner of the South Regional. In the other semifinal game, the winner of the Midwest Regional will play the winner of the West Regional. Those games will be played on Saturday, April 5th. Then it'll be on to the national championship game on Monday night, April 7th. Anything shocking to you about those picks?
I don't think I'm alone in my surprise with these picks. Whenever you reach this far down the poll for the top seeds, you're guaranteed to have some second guesses coming your way.
So, with the number 1 seeds out of the way, it's finally time to tackle the rest of the brackets. First up, we take a look at the East Regional. The Memphis Tigers are the top seed, finishing at 30-4. They won both the regular season and conference tournament titles in Conference USA. They will take on the winner of the opening round play-in game between Lehigh with 14 wins and Prairie View from the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And now, the number 8 seed, the Virginia Cavaliers, come into the tournament 10th in their conference during the regular season and finish 2nd in their conference tournament. They're going to play the number 9 seed, the Akron Zips, who came in 1st in their conference tournament, finishing at 22-9. Duke comes in as the number 5 seed, finishing at 19-12. And they will take on the 12th seed from the Northeast Conference, the Wagner Seahawks, with 23 wins. UCLA enters the field as the number 4 seed from the Pac-10. It's yet another appearance in the brackets for a school that's no stranger to the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 13 seed, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, finished the season with 20 wins.
The UCLA Bruins are going to provide serious matchup problems to any team that doesn't have depth and defensive ability at both guard spots. They have outstanding backcourt play at both ends of the court. It's the main reason they've made it this far, and they're going to have to maintain that form if they want to do some damage in this tournament.
The Arizona Wildcats are in as the number 6 seed. They'll be taking on the number 11 seed, the Governors of Austin Peay, with 26 wins. Michigan State comes in as the number 3 seed, finishing at 24-7, with 19 wins in the tournament and regular season championships of the America East Conference. Our number 7 seed is from the Southern Conference. The Davidson Wildcats come into the NCAA Tournament as winners of their regular season and conference tournament championship. They are going to play the number 10 seed, the Georgia Bulldogs, who were 5th in their conference, finishing at 18 and 11. Next up is the number 2 seed. The Kansas Jayhawks are the conference tournament champions from the Big 12. They'll be going up against the number 15 seed, the Valparaiso Crusaders, with 15 wins. This will be their 8th appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. Some of the lower seeds in this bracket have the ability to not only compete with the high seeds, but win a few games. The potential for a Cinderella or two in this bracket is definitely there. Next up, we'll take a look at the South Regional. The North Carolina Tar Heels are the top seed, finishing at 27 and 7. They've won both the regular season and conference tournament titles in the ACC. They'll take on the away team, the number 16 ranked team. This will be their 2nd appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. Dayton comes in as the number 8 seed, finishing at 19 and 12. Syracuse comes in to face them at number 9 with 19 wins and a chance to make believers out of any doubt that they might have. Kansas State enters the field as the number 5 seed from the Big 12. This will be their 23rd appearance all-time in the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 12 seed, the Bradley Braves. Finished the season with 21 wins.
The Kansas State Wildcats are one of those teams that's hard to put a finger on. They've got a terrific squad, but they depend on a lot of young players, and that lack of experience can be a big factor. Sometimes young guys play a lot looser than the veterans, but it's always a tough call. It really could go either way on you.
Tennessee comes in as the number 4 seed, finishing at 21 and 12. And they'll take on the 13th seed from the WAC, the New Mexico State Aggies, with 21 wins. And now the number 6 seed, the Alabama Crimson Tide, come into the tournament as the 4th place team in their conference during the regular season and finish 2nd in their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the Mustangs of Cal Poly, who were regular season champions in their conference, finishing at 21 and 6. The Rhode Island Rams are in as the number 3 seed. They'll be taking on the number 14 seed, the New Orleans Privateers, with 18 wins. Next up is the number 7 seed. The Pepperdine Waves are the regular season champions from the West Coast Conference. They'll be going up against the number 10 seed, the Vanderbilt Commodores, with 19 wins. This marks their 10th appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. Our number 2 seed is from the A-10 Conference. The Fordham Rams were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the Big Dance. They're going to play the number 15 seed, the Michigan Wolverines, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 17 and 17. Looking into the future a little bit, this bracket looks poised for a titanic matchup in the regional final. If the top 2 seeds can take care of business in the first 3 rounds, we have the possibility of a classic Elite 8 meeting. On to our 3rd bracket of the day. Let's take a look at the Midwest Regional. The Georgetown Hoyas are the top seed, finishing at 25 and 7. They won both the regular season and conference tournament titles in the Big East. They'll take on the Coppin State Eagles, the number 16 ranked team. This marks their 4th appearance in the NCAA tournament in school history. Our number 8 seed is from the SEC. The Lsu Tigers were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the Big Dance. They're going to play the number 9 seed, finishing at 19 and 12. The Louisville Cardinals are in as the number 5 seed. They'll be taking on the number 12 seed, the Columbia Lions, with 20 wins. Pittsburgh enters the field as the number 4 seed from the Big East. This will be their 20th appearance in the NCAA tournament in school history. They'll be getting ready to face the number 13 seed, the George Mason Patriots. Finished the season with 20 wins.
The Pittsburgh Panthers will be an extremely dangerous team in this tournament, mainly because they have such terrific veteran leadership. Coaches love when they have guys on the floor that have been around the block a few times because they don't get rattled. They play with composure. I look at the experience of this team as something that could put them over the top.
Xavier comes in as the number 6 seed, finishing at 24 and 11. And they take on the 11th seed from the ACC, the Virginia Tech Hokies, with 20 wins. And now the number 3 seed, the Oregon Ducks, come into the tournament first in their conference during the regular season and were semifinalists in their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 14 seed, the New Mexico Lobos, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 21 and 12. Next up is the number 7 seed. The Baylor Bears have established themselves as one of the best teams from the Big 12. They'll be going up against the number 10 seed, the Maryland Terrapins, with 19 wins. They return once more to the very familiar surroundings of the NCAA Tournament. Kentucky comes in as the number 2 seed, finishing at 24-8. UC Santa Barbara comes in to face them at number 15 with 17 wins in the tournament championship of the Big West. On the surface, I'd have to say this regional might be the most difficult of the 4. Certainly the depth of quality teams here is very impressive. Whoever emerges from this bracket will have been through some battles. And finally, let's have a look at the West Regional. The Arkansas Razorbacks are the top seed, finishing at 24-7. They were winners of the regular season championship in the SEC. They'll take on the Campbell Fighting Camel, the number 16 ranked team. This will be their second appearance all time in the NCAA tournament. Next up is the number 8 seed. The Charlotte 49ers have established themselves as one of the best teams from the A-10 conference. They'll be going up against the number 9 seed, the Temple Owls, with 20 wins. They return once more to the very familiar surroundings of the NCAA tournament. Washington State comes in as the number 5 seed, finishing at 24-9. And they will take on the 12th seed, the Jaguars from IUPUI, with 21 wins. Oklahoma comes in as the number 4 seed, finishing at 25-10. Loyola Maryland comes in to face them at number 13 with 20 wins in the tournament championship of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Our number 6 seed is from the Big East. The Providence Friars were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the Big Dance. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the Fresno State Bulldogs, who were semifinalists in their conference tournament, finishing at 22-8. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are in as the number 3 seed. They'll be taking on the number 14 seed, the San Francisco Dons, with 18 wins. And now the number 7 seed, the Illinois Fighting Illini, come into the tournament on the strength of a 3rd place finish in their conference regular season and were losers in their first game at their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 10 seed, the Butler Bulldogs, who finished 2nd in their conference tournament, finishing at 23-9. Missouri enters the field as the number 2 seed from the Big 12. This marks their 22nd appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. They'll be getting ready to face the number 15 seed. The Montana Grizzlies finished the season with 17 wins.
The Missouri Tigers suffered a big upset in their conference tournament, but they've got to leave that behind. Sometimes getting a loss like that out of the way before the NCAA tournament can actually help you. It can relieve some pressure and help the players get their focus back.
There are going to be some incredible matchups in the later rounds of this bracket. If the top seeds can avoid the early upsets, we can look forward to some real heavyweight battles. Clark, give us your take on the tournament's top 16 seeds.
Michigan State
Got a raw deal in my view. If you take a look at what they accomplished, it is hard to believe they
slipped to a 3 seed. Pittsburgh is a team I wouldn't want to face, even though they're down there as a number 4 seed. I think they've got the potential to be a Cinderella team.
Now, let's see how the conference representation fares. The SEC gets 8 teams. The ACC with 6. 6 out of the A-10. The Big 12 gets 5 teams.
What a down year for the non-power conferences. We're used to seeing at least one of those conferences compete on the level of the power conferences, but not this year.
And let's not forget the team out of the Big West. For a small conference, they competed at a very high level this year. Those teams could be the place to look if you're trying to find a Cinderella story in the tournament.
I'm surprised there were so few bids for the teams in the Mountain West Conference. It was an especially disappointing year for that conference. Usually you can count on a few of the nation's elite teams coming out of there. But this was a season where very few of those teams could maintain any type of positive momentum.
Let's come back to the bubble teams that we mentioned earlier in the show and see which of the teams were able to get into the tournament.
Georgia must feel a whole lot better now than they did before the show started. Their ticket is punched, and they're on their way to the dance. But frankly, I'm not sure for just how long they'll be dancing.
While they start prepping for their first-round games, the 5 teams on the other side of the page will be full-time students again.
St. Louis probably thinks their resume is as good as a few of the teams that got an invitation. But they didn't have that preseason tournament championship or that one big win that would have set them apart.
All right, Clark, now that we know all the teams and matchups, time to get the tournament underway and let the madness take over.
Greg, let's throw the ball up right now. I can't wait to get started. I hope this is an NCAA tournament that gives a lot of those special moments that stay with us for years to come.
For my partner Clark Kellogg and for all of us here in the 2K Sports Studios, I'm Greg Gumbel. Thanks for joining us on the NCAA Selection Show, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. Enjoy all the excitement of the NCAA Tournament.